I think Michael Olise is on his Ballon d'Or run. Now, before you call me crazy, I want to break this down properly in this video and let you know exactly why I think he's a very, very strong candidate if I'm predicting the next winner. Now, last night, Olise put in an absolutely ridiculous performance against Atalanta. Some of the things that this guy does is just out of this world. So I think first thing we've got to talk about in terms of what it takes to win a Ballon d'Or. I think nowadays you need the stats, so the numbers, especially as an attacking player, you need goals and assists. Elise is on 31 goal contributions so far. That's in March. And obviously, Bundesliga, whatever. However, I think Bayern have a very strong case to potentially winning the Champions League. And that's my next point, is that more often than not, a club that wins the Champions League has the Ballon d'Or winner. Now, if Bayern go on to win the Champions League, I would imagine that it's a Bayern player that gets nominated. But the slightly unique thing about this year's Ballon d'Or is obviously it's a World Cup year. So international performance will have to be taken into account. And Olise plays for one of the best international teams out there, France, of course. So that is also a possibility. So let's say Bayern maybe reach a final and France win the World Cup, or vice versa. France reach a World Cup final and Bayern win the Champions League. Then you've got a strong catalogue there. I also think the things that matter are just pure ability. This has decreased a little bit over the years and it's been more about a numbers game, but Olise has that as well. And then finally, moments, big moments. Now, I don't think the Bundesliga is a league where you're going to get those big moments. It's not like the Premier League, but the Champions League is where it's going to matter for Olise. And I think some of the performances he's put in the Champions League so far have been of a very, very top of world-class level. Obviously, those moments haven't been played yet. So Bayern are going to go on to the latter stages of the Champions League. And that is where Olise will need to show up and kind of show the world what he's capable of, which I think he's 100% capable of. And I'm going to explore now exactly what makes him so good as a footballer. Before I do that, please do make sure you're subscribed. Please do comment down below which player or team you want me to break down next. But also, please do share the video and like it as well. Thank you very much. Now, the first thing I want to talk about with Olise is his obvious ball striking. Now, I think he's had this ball striking level, to be honest, since he started playing senior football. I think at Crystal Palace, we saw evidence of how elite some of his ball striking was. I remember he hit one volley on the side foot and just stroked it home with the instep of his left foot from outside the box. And at that point, I was like, this guy hits a ball so cleanly, but in such a controlled manner as well. He's so precise with all his kind of shots. And, you know, we've seen top wingers over the years playing for Bayern Munich, none other than Arjen Robben, who mastered one particular thing, which I think we all know he's famous for, which is pretty much picking the ball up out on these wide flanks, cutting inside with it, and then lashing, or not even really lashing, bending shots into that far corner with his left foot. Now, Olise last night, if you saw his 2 goals, he had one goal from around here, which was low into the bottom corner. Again, passed it into the back of the net, and then pretty much did the exact same thing in the top corner. So this guy has range from all different types of ways to basically score from this like right half space area. Now, some players would make that their only kind of move, but Olise is so much more complete than that. The main thing I want to stress about Olise and what makes him so good is his timing. His timing of every single action is out of this world. Now, when I say timing, people often talk about the word pauser, and pauser is kind of the idea that you need to pause just before the split second where you need to deliver a certain action. There's the art in pausing and waiting for the right moment. And what Olise does so well is when he is, let's say, carrying it in this sort of area, he really waits to draw that player in, and he doesn't telegraph the fact he's going to play a pass or have a shot. He's very controlled, upright, as if he doesn't give anything away. So he knows that when the defender does get drawn in, he can slide it through, but he hasn't telegraphed it, because if he does telegraph it, if he shapes up so clearly to play that pass straight away, then the defender's going to maybe step off a little bit or react in time. But what Olise does so well is he has so much disguise in the way that he plays that he'll wait. Suddenly that defender makes his move, and Olise already knows that he's going to slip this in at the perfect time and play through like that. And that's what makes his timing so good. I think that is the case also with his shooting. So let's say he picks up the ball on this sort of wide flank. He is waiting. until he gets into the right situation, and then suddenly, and this is the next point I want to come on to, he shifts it so quickly that he just works that little yard. He doesn't need to beat his fullback. He just needs to work enough space because he knows he has insane amount of quality in terms of his ball striking that he just needs a yard. He doesn't need to get away from that defender. That defender can stay around here. He just needs a yard to work the shot, and he can bend that into the corner with ease. And that's the next point I want to come on to is kind of the understanding he has of tempo and change of speed. He is so good at slowing, and then suddenly just a small change in pace. Now, Olise, he's a quick player, but he's not an insane athlete. And so many wingers nowadays need to be insane athletes. But I think the art of understanding timing is slightly being undervalued nowadays because someone like Olise, he knows that he's got enough quality that all he really needs is a yard. So he just drags a defender in, and then suddenly shifts it, and he can create or he can shoot. And I think his change of speed is one of the best out there because he looks so calm on the ball all the time. And that really does attract players towards him because he's being so kind of nonchalant with it. He doesn't look like he's going to do anything out of the ordinary. And then suddenly, one little shift and he's away, or one little kind of touch out his feet and he can play a line breaking pass or a backline splitting pass even. And that's the real art of Olise. I think his understanding of timing, his understanding of speed in terms of slowing down and speeding up, that is the best way to kind of gain separation and have the game in your control, is changing the speed of your action. The best players know when to slow down, they know when to speed up. And that is how you manipulate not only a 1v1 situation, so let's say you're fullback, but also manipulate the game, know how to kind of slow the game down when it's needed, know when to accelerate and up the tempo when needed. And Olise has the perfect brain for that. Now, the last thing I kind of want to get onto is just his character. He seems to be so calm. All he wants to do is play football. And people say it's a bit of a gimmick, this calm persona. I think he is just a calm person. And he probably plays into it a little bit because it is funny. I find it funny how nonchalant he is. But I think this is the kind of character that is going to really show in the latter stages of the Champions League. When big moments come, he will have a cool head. He will have a cold bloodedness in terms of the final third and in terms of the efficiency, because people talk about eye test versus numbers nowadays, and I think we're at a stage where numbers are always important. But if you can combine eye test, an actual all-round game, with numbers, you have an elite player. Now, there's so many players that are number heavy. There's so many players that are eye test heavy. But if you could do both, you are a certain level. And I think Olise can do both. You watch him, he's controlling games from that right flank. He's the kind of primary playmaker, but he can go 1v1 as well. He can shoot as well. And he's getting the numbers. He's getting the numbers to back it up. And I think that is what is so impressive about Michael Olise. And I think if Bayern go the distance and or France go the distance, he has a real case to be built around him to get a Ballon d'Or. I genuinely believe that. Please just watch this guy. He is a joy to watch. It's so easy for him, this sport, both in terms of understanding, but also the technical ability to carry out that final action, that final point, like the end of an attack. He's so efficient with that. So yeah, that's my rant on Michael Olise. I think he's out of this world. Please do make sure you're subscribed. Please do make sure you comment who you want me to break down next. Share the video, like the video, and we'll see you next time.